Stop having cheat days. Instead, have one super enjoyable cheat meal. Today's episode, we're going to tackle the pitfalls that a lot of guys go through when they think they deserve a cheat day. And I'm going to talk about the benefits of just having a cheat meal and some of the pitfalls of having a cheat day and how that's going to impact not only your physique, but also how you show up for the week. Let's get into it. All right, so what's the big debate? Should I have a cheat day? Now, back in the day when I was 20, 21, it was a cheat day, man. It was every Sunday. I ate whatever I wanted all day. That included pasta, pizza, ice cream, sugars, anything. And I get up Monday a little bit sluggish, I get through it. As I aged, I noticed after 35 and I was training, if I had a cheat day versus just a cheat meal, I was very sluggish for not only one day, but multiple days. Lots of things started to impact me. One, my digestion was off the next day and the following day. So everything kind of gets screwed up when you put that much shit into your system in one day. Two, I noticed I was carrying a lot of water. So all the gains that I thought I had made throughout the week had diminished the first part of the week. And I was right back to starting where I wanted midweek. So that over time wears at your mental. And then three, I started noticing that all of the work I did throughout the week in staying in a caloric deficit or staying on track with balancing everything, one cheat day throughout the whole week of progress. And so as you age, that becomes more and more important, right? Because you don't have a whole lot of time to train. When you do train, you're super intentional. Then you're also being conscious enough to eat properly. Now, if you're putting that together and then you have a cheat day, you're giving it up. And when you do that week after week after week, what happens is you eventually give up on the fitness journey because you don't see the results. But if you can muster through that day and say, okay, instead of having a cheat day, I'm going to have a cheat meal. Now, a cheat meal is much more controlled. A cheat meal can be really, really enjoyable, super satiating. It satisfies the need of having this cheat day, and you feel a hell of a lot better. That's how I handled it. And I didn't handle that until I actually hired a pro coach who took away the cheat day. And I was surprised. And he said, no, it's a cheat meal. And so he'd explain this, right? We're going to have controlled indulgence. Controlled indulgence is we're going to earn a cheat meal. And when we have that cheat meal, we're going to be strategic about the foods. We're not just going to go have pasta and pizza. You can do that, Dane, but that's going to cause digestion issues. You're going to be bloated. You're not going to feel well, and your training is going to be impacted for multiple days. So if you want to do that, that's your decision, but it's probably not ideal. So you want to pick something that you're going to enjoy, like a restaurant, and going out and having a nice steak and a potato, or making a homemade burger with homemade fries. That's actually my preference. When I do a cheat meal, it's a homemade burger. I have this incredible recipe for this burger. I do homemade fries, so I get these little potatoes, cut them in half. All I do is season them with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, throw them in the air fryer. So I get air fried fresh potatoes, which are great. They're not loaded with oil. And honestly, it's just as good as Five Guys. As I started to age, man, and I would enjoy these Five Guys meals or these heavy fried meals, when I knew the difference of how I felt after one type of food, and then I started to feel that, it was like, no, I don't like that. There was just too much repercussions from this type of eating or this type of cheat meal. So I did get strategic in the type of meal that I wanted, which was, okay, I love burgers. If I do have pizza, it's not going to be a whole pizza, but it's going to have some protein on there. But I generally don't eat pizza anymore. I'm a guy that loved pizza. I ate it like twice a week before I got fit. So I am talking about having a meal like that. And how you can do that is really being strategic about that day. So let's just give you an example, okay? For me, I take in about 2,500 calories every day, right? That's what I'm taking in. On a cheat meal day, what I'll do is I'll just increase my calories because I'm putting on size. So I take in that surplus for that day, and the next day I feel great and I can jump right back into my meal plan. I'm not pushing off my morning meal because I'm still full and hungry. My body has digested it. It's pushed those calories, and now I'm ready to kind of jump right back into my routine, which I love. Now, if I'm going to be traveling or be more strategic and family's going to be out of town and I don't really want the surplus, how I'll handle a cheat meal is very simple. If my calories are 2,500 and I want to stay within that range, then generally I'll have 2 or 3 meals that are smaller and that'll equate to about 1,000 or 1,500 calories. So that when I go to the cheat meal, I kind of leave myself at least 1,000 calories to eat whatever I want. And within that cheat meal, I'm picking a smart protein to make sure I'm getting at least 30 or 40 grams. And then I'm also picking a carb. I'm generally not getting fries. You could if you want, but I don't. I've gotten smarter. I'll get rice, or I'll get, like Mexican restaurant, I'll get rice and beans. If it's a burger place, I'll get the sweet potatoes, or a macaroni pasta, something like that. So essentially, those are 2 ways that you can kind of do it. So I plan ahead. I know, okay, this is what we're going to eat. That's probably going to be about 1,000 calories. So I'm going to back into that number and make sure that I'm set up to just enjoy myself during that meal. And that you can do fairly easily. And that's, dude, exactly how I do it. Because when you know that having a cheat day will impact your entire kind of next couple of days, like it just does. When you're putting in eating ice cream and eating chips and eating pizza, like you just have to think, man, your body just can't process that stuff as quickly. So if you're in routine, when you throw that in, it's going to back you up for a couple of days and you're going to see a difference in your physique. And if you're not really that toned yet, it becomes discouraging. So that's why I'm not a big fan of cheat days. I don't really give them to any clients. I don't take them my own. I kind of wait to make sure I can just have a bigger cheat meal and a strategic one. So when I do it, I do enjoy it. And I also do a low-fat ice cream in the cheat meals, which is always great. My favorite, and hopefully I have it in here, is, yeah, here it is, perfect, is Nick's. This one is Nick's Coffee Chocolate Chip. The macros on this is great. For 2/3 of a cup, 6 grams of fat, 4.5 saturated, 20 carbs, 3 grams of protein. For the whole tub, it's 280 calories, 20 grams of fat. So I could literally not eat fat throughout the whole day, enjoy a nice burger, cook it on the leaner side, and then have a whole tub of this. I don't, because that will screw up my stomach, but I generally eat like half of that. And now I wake up the next day, I feel great, right? Because I ate off plan, but it was shit that I enjoyed. It was stuff that my body could actually use, and I rock and roll that way. So that's how I do a cheat. That's how I handle the infamous cheat day or cheat meal. If you guys are trying to get fit and you want to see the aesthetics or you want to see things show up, then you've got to be able to manage the calories on your mindset when you have that cheat, right? It should not be a cheat day, so be careful. If you're struggling, boys, with any of this stuff, I put together a macro guide that lays out kind of all the macros. It includes some cheat meals. If you want it, just message me on Instagram, macros, and I'll send you that document. Hopefully this helped you. If I missed anything, or you guys have a different interpretation of how you approach your cheat day, I'd love to know, man. Share it in the comments. If you haven't yet, like, follow, subscribe. I'm out.